Okay, welcome back to our political science class, session number 2 today. So in the morning session, we discussed about the discretionary powers of the president and the powers of the prime minister, and how or what importance is there for the post called the prime minister's office. Okay, so he's the important person in the executive, and almost all the decision of the government is related with the prime minister. Okay, so here we are going to the next topic today, that is the permanent executive, that is called to be bureaucracy. So the prime minister and the council of ministers basically termed as the political executive, and here we are going to discuss today the permanent executive, that is the bureaucracy, civil servants. Okay, literally speaking, so the government officers. Okay, the people who implements the decisions of the ministers. Okay, the question is, who implement the decision of the ministers? Answer is simple, they are the bureaucrats. So the executive organs of the government include the prime minister, underline, the minister, and the large organization called the bureaucracy or the administrative machinery. Okay, so the executive organ of the government includes the prime minister, we know that, prime minister, and the council of ministers. The same time, the ministers are equipped with a large organization called the bureaucracy or administrative machinery. Clear? To underline the difference between the machinery and the military service, it is described as civil service. Underline. The difference between this machinery and the military service, it is described as the civil service. Okay. Trained and skilled officers who work as permanent employees of the government are assigned the task of assisting the ministers in formulating policies and implementing these policies. Underline. So, skilled and trained officers who work as permanent employees of the government are assigned the task of assisting the ministers. So these skilled and trained employees will assist the ministers always. They will give suggestions, advices, and at the same time will accept the orders that providing by the ministers. Okay, they are the trained officers. So they are termed as the permanent executive. Underline, trained and skilled officers who work as permanent employees of the government are assigned the task of assisting the ministers in formulating policies and implementing these policies. In a democracy, the elected representatives and the ministers are in charge of the government, and the administration is under their control and supervision. Underline. In a democracy, elected representatives and the ministers are in charge of the government, and the administration is under their control and supervision. So the elected representatives and the ministers are responsible to the people, and they are in charge to take decisions, and they are controlling the government and supervising the administrative activities. In the parliamentary system, the legislature also exercises control over the administration. Okay, so in a parliamentary system of government, the legislature, not only the executive, the legislature also exercise control over the administration. The administrative officers cannot act in violation of the policies adopted by the legislature. Clear? So the executive always want to listen the words of the legislature. Okay, so basically the policies are adopting by the legislature, executive want to listen that properly. It is the responsibility of the ministers to retain political control over the administration. Okay, so underline, it is the responsibility of the ministers to retain the control or political control over the administration. Okay, they are always controlling the administration in political terms. India has established a professional administrative, give me a moment, machinery. At the same time, this machinery is made politically accountable. Okay, so a council of ministers are there. They are always accountable to the legislature and to the people. Okay, clear? Underline that. The bureaucracy is also expected to be politically neutral. So bureaucracy, officers are not the part of any political party. Clear? So they don't want to join or act as the part of any particular political party. They should be independent. Okay, clear or not? The bureaucrats or officers should not take part of any political activity or don't want to take any partisanship. Okay, the bureaucracy is also expected to be politically neutral. This means that the bureaucracy will not take any political position in policy matters. Okay, so the bureaucrats or the administrative officers, they don't want to support any political party. They want to take independent decisions. Clear? They are the government officers. Okay, whatever may be the party, they have to listen or they have to cooperate with them. In a democracy, it is always possible that, so write a question here, write the importance of a permanent executive. Permanent executive, write a short note permanent executive. Write a short note on permanent executive. So this paragraph is the answer for that one. In a democracy, it is always possible that a party is defeated in election and the new government wanted to opt for new policies in the place of policies of the previous government. So elections, we know that every 5 years or once in 5 years we can see elections in India. Okay, so after one election, sometime we can observe that the government will change. This 5 years might be BJP headed government. Next 5 years it may be changed to Congress headed government. Okay, clear or not? So the newly elected government will change all the programs and policy that created or adopted by the previous government. Clear? New government. What the new government will change? New government will change the policies and programs that adopted by the previous government. In such a situation, it is the responsibility of the administrative machinery to faithfully and efficiently participate in drafting the policy and in its implementation. So the old government created some policy and programs, but the new government is going to change it. So it is the responsibility of the political machinery. I mean the bureaucrats or the officers. Here machinery in the sense means bureaucratic machinery, not a political machinery, but bureaucrats. They have to cooperate with the newly elected government in policy making. They should not say that old government is made something, so we will do that only. They cannot say like that, because they are the part of the machinery. Bureaucrats always want to be neutral. Okay, they have to participate in the decision making of the government always, or want to cooperate with the policy and program of the government. The Indian bureaucracy today is an enormously complex system. Underline the importance of Indian bureaucracy. Okay, write a short note on Indian bureaucrats or Indian bureaucracy. So simply understand one thing, bureaucracy is nothing but the group of officers, okay, public servants, okay, in the top level IAS officers to a peon in a government office or a village office, also the part of this machinery, this mechanism. So underline that all. So the Indian bureaucracy today is an enormously complex system. It consists of the all India services, state services, underline, all India services like IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, like that, various all India services are there. Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, Indian Foreign Service, Forest Service, Indian Revenue Service, okay, like that various services are there. Only the people, those who cleared the UPSC examination, okay, or the civil service examinations can bear or can hold the power in such kind of post there. So underline that Indian bureaucratic system is a complex system. It consists of the all India services, state services, okay, state administrative officers also are there, employees of the local governments, okay. So in different local bodies we are able to find, I mean government institutions, number of officers are there, they are also the part of the bureaucrats. And technical and managerial staff running public sector undertaking, okay. So technical staffs, managerial staffs under the control of the government or government controlled organizations, in government controlled organizations, okay. Such officers also considering as the part of the bureaucrats. Makers of our constitution were aware of the importance of the non-partisan and professional bureaucracy. So the makers of the Indian constitution, they give importance to a group of workers, I mean a group of government employees. They should not be the part of any particular political party. At the same time, they have to support all the political parties, basically, when they form government. Clear? Understanding or not? Independently, no officer want to support any political party, but all the individual officers want to support the government. Okay. So they also wanted to the members of the civil service or bureaucracy to be impartially selected on the basis of merit. So there is no election to choose these public servants or the government officers or the bureaucrats. Okay, they will choose only related with their merit in the examinations. Okay, competitive examinations. I already told you that if they want to hold power or want to become an IAS or IPS, IFS officer, want to clear the UPSC examination, then only they will or they can sit in that position. Or for a government job, the people who want to write the examinations that are conducting by the State Public Service Commission or the Central Public Service Commission, I mean the Union Public Service Commission. Okay, then only they can sit in that position, they will get the job in the government department. So the union, underline, the Union Public Service Commission has been entrusted with the task of conducting the process of recruitment of the civil servants for the government of India. Underline. So if you want to become an IAS officer or an IPS officer, first of all want to clear the UPSC examination to choose the civil servants. Okay, so number of different types of examinations are there for it. Okay, so in future you people will write it. Okay, so just understand the structure of the examination for choose these government offices, I mean the public servants. Clear? So members of the Public Service Commission are appointed for a fixed period of time. Their removal or suspension is subject to thorough inquiry made by the judge of the Supreme Court. Okay, so not only passing the examination, if you want to sit in that position, okay, a clear scrutiny will be there related with your attitude, mentality, the behavior with the comments, okay, like that various things are there. And at the same time, it is not easy to remove them or suspend them from their position. A thorough inquiry made by a judge is necessary to give punishment, I mean the suspension, or remove them from the post. So it is a complicated procedure. Okay. So first of all, want to clear the examination. Next one, a fixed term, the removal of the suspension is subject to a thorough inquiry made by the judge of the Supreme Court. While efficiency and merit, give me a moment. Okay, while efficiency and merit are the norms for recruitment, underline. What are the norms for recruitment? Efficiency of the person and their merit, their knowledge are the norms for recruitment. The Constitution also ensures that all sections of the society, including the weaker sections, have an opportunity to be part of the public bureaucracy. For this purpose, the Constitution has provided for a reservation of jobs for the Dalits and Adivasis. Underline. So the government is giving chances to each and every individual in the society to be a public servant or act as a public servant. So special provisions and reservations are there for Dalits and Adivasis to write this examination and become a part of the public service. Okay. Subsequently, reservation has also been provided for women and other backward classes. Clear? So, reservations are there for women and physically or mentally challenged people or for backward classes. These provisions ensure that the bureaucracy would be more representative and the social inequalities will not come in the way of recruitment to the civil service. So, recruitment for the civil service is an independent task. Independent task. No political party want to participate or want to interfere to give job for an individual in the government office. Clear? Okay. Understanding or not? So, no political party want to keep their representatives as the bureaucrats or government officers. Okay. They will want to choose only related with their merit. So, moving to the next page. Classification of civil service. Give me a moment. Now we are discussing about the classification of civil services in India. Important point, write down. What are the classification of civil service? Explain. Write the question. What are the classification of civil services in India? Explain. Okay, so classification of civil service, all India service, central services and state services. Three classifications are there. What are they? All India services, central services, state services. Okay, what are the things coming under all India services? Okay, example, Indian Administrative Service, IAS. Clear? Indian Police Service, IPS. It is all India service. Not only in one state, the government has the power to appoint you anywhere within the country. That's what IAS officers and Indian Police Service, IPS officers. Next one, central services in central level, Indian Foreign Service and Indian Revenue Service under the control of the central government. It might be the Indian Administrative Service or Indian Police Service under the control of the state also. Clear? Central or state. Coming to the central service only under the control of the central government, like Indian Foreign Service. Indian Foreign Service means ambassadors in different countries. Okay, high commissioners. Next one, state services, only under the control of the state. Sale tax offices, sale tax offices. These are the classification of civil services in India. Okay, so we are going to understand the system to write and pass this examination to get the job or to be a part of this public service. Person selected by the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, for Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service constitute the backbone of the higher level bureaucracy in the states. Underline. So, Indian Administrative Service and the people choose are selected for Indian Police Service. They constitute the backbone of the higher level bureaucracy in the state. The most prominent and important bureaucrats of the states. They are the IAS officers and IPS officers. IPS officers. Okay. You may know that the collector of a district is the most important officer of the government at the district level. He is the ex officio magistrate too, right? The collector is the most powerful government officer in a district, the district collector, right? He is an IAS officer. Always he or she want to be the IAS degree, IAS officer. Do you know that the collector is normally an IAS officer and that the officer is governed by the service condition laid down by the central government. Okay. So a district collector, a person, those who clear the IAS examination, he or she will work under the central government's supervision and as per their working condition or service condition. Okay, an IAS or IPS officer is assigned to a particular state. So IPS, I already told you that Indian Police Service. Indian Police Service. Okay. So the rank above a DYSP. Okay. Basically IPS is necessary for that. Indian Police Service examination. Okay, you know that different ranks are there in police, right? It is starting from a constable to the head constable to the assistant sub-inspector, right? ASI, sub-inspector, CI, DYSP, Deputy Superintendent of Police, Superintendent of Police. Okay, like that, up to DGP. So, above DYSP, the police officer should be IPS rank holder, right? Clear? And he should be an IPS officer. So, an IAS or IPS officers are appointed by the central government. They can go back into the service Give me a moment, 1 minute. Okay, they can go back into the service only, sorry, they can go back into the service of central government, and most importantly, only the central government can take disciplinary action against them. So who can take a disciplinary action against the IAS and IPS officers? The central government can take, not the state government, not that point. Okay, only central government can take a disciplinary action, okay, against the IAS and IPS officers. Clear? Example, punishments or suspension, that only the central government will take the decision, not the state governments, because they are a central government employees, or they are working as per the norms of the central government. Only the central government can take disciplinary action against them. This means that the key administrative officers of the state are under the supervision and control of the central government. Underline. Apart from the IAS and the IPS officers appointed by the UPSC, the administration of the state is looked after by the officers appointed through the State Public Service Commission. Okay. So central government is conducting UPSC examination to choose officers for the central level and for the central government. At the same time, state governments also conducting examination by using an organization called State Public Service Commission, PSC, Public Service Commission of the states. Okay, as we shall study later in the chapter of federalism, this feature of bureaucracy strengthened the control of the central government over the administration of the state. Okay, so bureaucrats always strengthen the relationship between the central and state on administrative affairs. Underline. The bureaucracy is an instrument through which welfare policies of the government must reach to the people. Clear? It is bureaucrats. Basically, they are used to serve the public. So the governments will come forward with different welfare policies and programs, and it is the responsibility of the bureaucrats to make that policy reach to the people. But most often, it is so powerful that people are afraid of approaching government offices. We know that. In almost all the states, we are able to notice this problem. The common people, they are afraid of approaching or visiting or meeting or discussing with these government offices. It is a common experience of the people that bureaucracy is sensitive to the demands and expectations of the ordinary citizen. Okay, number of individuals or citizens in the country already made number of complaints related with the activities of the bureaucrats there. Sometimes they are not meeting the expectations of the ordinary people. So the people will complain. Only if the democratic leader government control the bureaucracy, some of these problems can be effectively handled. Okay, so if democratic governments are controlling these bureaucrats, they are able to solve some of these problems. They are able to make the civil servants to do their duty for the welfare of the people. On the other hand, too much political interference turns the bureaucracy into an instrument in the hands of the politician. Okay. The same time, the politicians are interfering in the governmental activities in a, what we can say, in a long run or a long period of time, or continuously they are doing so, the government mechanism will turn into a political one. So it is not good. Okay, clear or not? So if BJP ruling, all the officers are listening the words of the BJP leaders. Okay, they are not listening the words of other party leaders, or they are not attending the problem of the people, means it's a problem for everyone, right? Yes or no? Vice versa. For Congress party ruling, the officers are only listening the words of the Congress party leaders, not giving importance for the people. It is also not good. Okay, so our interference of these politicians or politics into bureaucrats, it is not good. Though the constitution has created independent machinery for recruitment. So independent machinery is there for recruitment. So government employees are not the part of any political party, and they should not be a part of any political party. They always wanted to be independent. Right? Clear or not? Okay, so 1 minute. Okay, here, though the constitution has created independent machinery for recruitment, many people think that there is no provision for protecting the civil servants from political interference in the perform of their duty. So, number of people in our country today, they believe that there is no rules and regulations are existing to make these politicians away from the administrative or bureaucrats. Okay, it is also felt that enough provisions are not there to ensure the accountability of the bureaucracy to the citizen. There is an expectation that measures like the right to information may make the bureaucracy a little more responsive and accountable. So, governments are accountable. Governments are accountable to the people. Okay, but sometimes these bureaucrats will create problems for the people. Okay, without doing their duty in a proper order. Okay, so they will create a problem. Okay, so we want some rules and regulation to protect the people from this kind of activities by the bureaucrats. Conclusion of this chapter: the modern executive is a very powerful institution of the government. The executive enjoys greater powers compared to other organs of the government. Underline. This generates a greater need to have democratic control over the executive. The makers of our constitution thought with foresight that the executive must be put firmly under regular supervision and control. Okay, so we know that in India, executive cannot take decision without the consent of the legislature. Legislature support is necessary. Okay, clear. Thus, a parliamentary executive was chosen. Periodic elections are there to choose the executive. Constitutional limits are there in the constitution. Okay, over the exercise of the powers and democratic politics have ensured the executive organ cannot become unresponsive. So, the rules and regulations that existed in our constitution that creating the executive to perform good and to meet the expectation of the people. Okay, so in this chapter we discussed about the powers of the executive. Powers of the executive. Two systems are there. What are they? What are the two systems of election? In the last class we studied about that, right? What is that? First past the post system and the proportional representation system. Okay, clear or not? So this system will use to elect the executive, elect the legislature, representatives in the legislature. From the legislature, they will choose or they will create the executive. Okay, and we studied about the permanent executive and the political executive. Okay, political executive means the ministers and the political leaders from the majority party in the legislature or the central government. And we studied about the powers of the president, different systems that existing in different countries, presidential system of executive, parliamentary system of executive, semi-presidential system, and the countries following these three different system of executive. Clear? We studied that. Next, we studied about the powers of the president of our country, India, powers of prime minister, and the functions of the council of ministers. Finally, we discussed about the permanent executive and the different examinations that conducting by UPSC and PSC to choose these bureaucrats in our country. So bureaucrats are the people, they are connecting the government with the people. Okay, so now there are a number of questions are there from the textbook. It is your responsibility to find out these answers and submit before next Friday. Okay, much time is there, 3-4 days are there. Just utilize those days and complete the task. Okay, all those answers you should write and submit. So any doubts are there from this chapter? So what are the things we studied? So write down some questions there. Write down all the route, I think so. Okay, differentiate between presidential, parliamentary and semi-presidential systems. Differentiate between parliamentary, presidential and semi-presidential system. Write a short note on the discretionary powers of the President of India. Write a short note on the discretionary powers of the President of India. President of India. What are the powers of Prime Minister? What are the powers of Prime Minister? Explain. Explain. Okay. What is the Council of Ministers? Explain their functions. Explain their functions. Okay. Write a short note on permanent executive. 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 Completed? Okay, so we want to find out the answers for all these questions there. Okay, so anything else? Tell me, any doubts are there? Which you can ask me now. So number of boxes are there from this chapter. All boxes you want to read it properly and understand the meaning of those things there. Might what we can say, this passage based questions are there. So all those boxes are important. Want to read that properly. 1 minute. I will give you 2 more questions. Okay, write a short note on parliamentary executive in India. Write a short note on parliamentary executive in India. Parliamentary executive in India. Parliamentary executive in India. Okay, these are the questions, just to find out the answers. Okay guys, and we will meet in the next class. Thank you very much.